What's going on YouTube? This is CJ. Welcome back to episode 5 of the Innovative Marine 75 EXT Reef build. And if you're new to the channel, full build playlist covering all my steps and thought process setting up this tank. Last episode was focused on equipment and water management. This episode, we're going to focus on the equipment outside of the tank, starting with the auto top-off, which in this case, we're going to be using the Innovative Marine Hydrofil auto top-off system. Includes everything you need. You got a pump, you got a controller, you have all of the mounting brackets needed, you have all the sensors needed, everything except the hose, which I ended up ordering on Amazon, 1/4 inch silicone hosing. So with all these parts, we are ready to finally go ahead and get the tank ready for auto top-off situations and making sure that, salinity and all that stuff is good to go. So when it comes to installing it, pretty easy. As you guys know, I am using the Nuvo 27 RFS Sump. So it has all kinds of wire management holders already built in, which works perfect for this because I was able to easily mount these in the sump in the return section and set them at the level that I felt it would be. But if I ever needed to adjust it, it's very easy. Everything's mounted with magnets. Now, when it comes to the pump itself, it has an option to either hang it off of something or you can mount it to the wall. In my case, it's all about keeping things clean. I don't want to see wires. I don't want to see anything hanging anywhere. At least try to minimize it as much as possible. So I found a nice little spot right behind where the stand sits. And well, it's a little tight to get a screwdriver in there, but ultimately it mounted on the wall and it's going to work out perfect because it's right beside where the return section is. So keep in mind, the sump already had barb fittings for this. So I didn't have to use the bracket that was included with the auto top-off system, but we may repurpose that for, a different use in the tank. Now, when it comes to the sensors themselves, a little different than I've used before. I've had the JBJ auto top-off with the float valves. I've had the, Apex set up with optical sensors. This is the first time I've seen metal probes that actually stick in the water. And once water touches both, it activates the sensor. Once water is not touching them, it activates the low level and the high level sensors. So the setup itself is pretty dope. I think it's accurate and it kicks on right away. Only knock I don't like, and actually kind of concerns, is that it does not shut off after running for a certain amount of time. So if for some reason the sensors were both, knocked out of the system and turned on the auto top off, it's gonna keep running and running and running and running. So if there was a change, I would say they need to add some kind of option of, adjusting the maximum runtime on the pump itself, and that system will be 100% solid, covering all scenarios to where something could go wrong. So other than that, this thing works like a charm. So if you guys are curious about this, this is what it looks like. Whenever you move the probe, immediately turns on. The pump itself, pretty quiet and does move a lot of water. So I don't see any concern with this keeping up with my auto top-off needs. If the reservoir goes down, then I can refill it. Other than that, it's an auto top-off, guys. There's nothing really too crazy about it. It's functional, it works, and I believe it will get the job done. Now, when it comes to the 15-gallon reservoir, I did a small modification to it. I just blacked out the left and the back side of it. The whole reason, I'm just sticking with the theme of not wanting to see wires with a completely see-through reservoir tank. And the fact that they include a floating indicator dial, this little red dot, really made it make sense because I don't have to see all sides of it to see where the water level is. I can see the front side, I can see the right side, or the red dot to be able to let me know if I need to refill it. It also includes a convenient tray on top if you do want to refill this manually with buckets or whatever you may use. Pull the tray out, pour the water in, it dumps it right in the reservoir nice and neat without a mess. So when it comes to making water for the tank, decided to go with the 150 gallon per day 4-stage unit from VRS. Now in the past, I've always had the 75 gallon that ended up adding the extra membrane to upgrade it this time around. Fresh start, decided to go ahead and get the bigger system. The plan is to be able to produce around 5 or 6 gallons per hour, really make life a little easier and faster. Only problem is I'm only getting around 40 PSI, so that's not gonna be enough pressure. I'm gonna have to add a booster pump to help, speed this process up. As far as hooking it up, just a wide splitter off the washer line. I'm running the waistline down the waistline for the washer line. So it's all nice and neat in the laundry room. And when it comes to feeding the tank, well, I got a different plan that we're gonna cover a little later in the video. to explain why it's going through the wall. But overall, it's going to match what I need. For reefers, it's all about creating zero TDS, pure water, to at least try to eliminate, future issues in the tank, and they should get the job done. So now it's time for phase 1 of CJ's new master plan. That's right. Anytime you hear that, it's either going to go really good or really bad. But the good news is I always share the result with you guys. So it's all about getting quality water management containers. For me, I almost got the cheap stuff, but I decided to go with the normal brute cans. Stables in the hobby. Ended up picking up 2 of these. Also picked up some additional elbows, unions, different things to try to utilize all the leftover PVC I had from plumbing the tank. While I was here, I also picked up my first wet dry vacuum. Never used these in the hobby. I don't know why I did not, because this ended up coming in major for me later in this video. But first time drilling a trash can, tell you guys, mistakes were made. Punched through, ended up getting stuck, chopping up the bottom of the can, trying to fix it, melting it and cauterizing the hole. Ended up, backfiring later, but second time through is always better. It's like cooking, the first batch is never good, right? But ultimately, got the bulkheads installed, did the best I could to try to get these done right. And then the area I was putting it in, had to waterproof it. So pine liner that was left over from sealing the tank, repurposed it and sealed the closet. That's right, guys, the closet. Adjacent to the tank, I've been looking at this closet for the last 2 weeks thinking, man, I don't need clothes in here. Let's do something else with it. So that's what I did. Ended up sealing it up and started dry fitting the craziest manifold I've probably ever created. And I think my experience with using manifolds on the 120 gallon helped with this, along with some inspiration I found online, on forums, reef to reef, different water change stations. And I kind of put it all together and repurposed it to try to fit my tank and my idea of creating an easy maintenance water changing kind of system that prevented me from wasting hours of my life, pulling a can out, hooking an RO line to it, hoping it doesn't flood, then mixing salt and pretty much taking up the whole living room during maintenance day. And that's what I was able to accomplish, guys. We have our first water change station. Leaks were made, things were on the floor. Luckily, the wet dry vacuum, did the job for me. So pine liner, wet dry vacuum, can't beat it. If you're gonna try something like this, I can't recommend enough to make sure you have both. Take your time, don't overfill it. Make sure that your bulkheads are not too tight when you start this off. Make sure your seals are good. And ultimately, don't poke a hole in the bottom of the can like you see here. I had to seal with silicone. So other than that, guys, leak test went okay. Mistakes were made, mistakes were fixed, and ultimately, we are ready to roll. And here we go. This is going to be a quick point and shoot style. No voiceover this time, because I really want to talk to you guys and show you what happens on the Be Easy manifold. That's right, I named it the Be Easy manifold, because this is pretty much the craziest thing I've ever created, but it's going to save me hours and hours of my life when it comes to tank maintenance, filling the auto top off reservoir, water changes, you name it. This is the beauty of this system. I'm so glad I designed it right in the closet behind the tank, right? Pretty crazy, but let's jump to it. So give you guys a quick explanation. It's being powered by the Simply Aquatics DC 1000 return pump, which is set up to be external, which is beautiful. Threaded pipes, Teflon tape, tighten it down, all good. Didn't have any leaks in this entire situation, except for the bulkheads, due to my lack of experience with drilling brute cans. This one, I accidentally punctured the bottom, had to seal it with silicone, we're good there. This one, no issues. Only problem was understanding how much these flex and move, and the spot I drilled on the bottom of the brute can probably wasn't the best, but it lined up with the pump, and I had to make it work. So after realizing I over-tightened them, loosened them up, re-tightened them, just troubleshooting the bulkheads, making sure they were sealed, I was finally able to stop the drips. But during that whole time, the pond liner saved the day, and I was able to shop vac any of the pooling water and prevent it from getting on the floor, which was perfect. So the way this works, pretty easy. Now, before we get too far, real quick look at the safety measures. This is going to be a double redundant, hopefully flood-proof system, protected by a float valve. Float raises, disables the water at the rotary unit itself with the solenoid that's built in. So hopefully that saves me. If not, I also have the marriage saver. It's going to be a sensor that's connected to a solenoid that will also shut the water off. So if for some reason I do forget this is running, hopefully either one of those safety measures will stop this from flooding and causing me all kinds of headache. Let me go ahead and turn it on for you all, give you a live demonstration. We're going to turn on the return pump. So if I want to take water and get it from the RO reservoir to the saltwater mixing station, very simple. Open this pipe here. Water's drawn up. It has nowhere to go. Where do I want it to go? Open this. And now water is going to transfer from the RO reservoir to the saltwater mixing station. Now the beauty is I can move as much as I want. If I want to do a full water change or half a water change, I'm still gonna sort out this situation as far as the piping here. Still got a different way to let it mix the water. Also, the bulkhead leaves a couple inches on the bottom, so I'll probably have to add something 45 or something on that to help it drain this tank as much. But let the pump do the work. That's the beauty of it. The manifold helps me not have to use multiple pumps. It's the one thing powering the whole situation. So as this is draining, let's say I decided it's enough. Once I want to shut this off, very simple. Close this here, cuts off this input, open this one, and now water's being drawn from here, up, and in, and now this is a full recirculating type system that allows me to mix the salt water to the right salinity, temperature, whatever else I want to do. And once this is all mixed up and done and ready to go, shut off this T here and send this, and this is going to send it to the tank. Now, the beauty of this going to the tank is that I have it routed into the sump, meaning it's in the first chamber of the sump, so it's going to get maximum contact time for it to mix with the tank, water, whatever the case may be, before it actually goes into the display, which I think is, a major benefit, just in case I'm off by a little bit and the corals in the tank are just not getting hit with a full fresh batch of badly mixed something, if that makes sense. So it definitely going to work out for me. It's going to allow me to do simultaneous water changes, meaning siphoning the display, same time I'm filling it. It's going to work itself out once I kind of get used to the flow rates and how everything works. Now, second thing is, let's say I want to actually change the way the water's flowing, meaning don't need a water change. I just need to refill the ATO top-off reservoir. Very simple. Let's close this off. Let's close this off. And let's just open the water from the RO reservoir. Where do I want it to go? It can't go here. It can't go over here. Now open this T. Well, actually close, leaves the T closed. And now the water is looking for somewhere to go. So all I gotta do is simply open this. And now water is going to the ATO top-off reservoir. So beautiful. It takes about 30 seconds or so for that to fill up. And once that's full, turn it off and we're good to go. So, it's a beautiful thing. Using a manifold and one pump to do all the work. I can send water to the display. I can send water to the ATO top-off reservoir. Everything's all good. So if you guys are wanting to build the Be Easy manifold, by all means, be my guest, improve on it. Whatever you feel needs to be improved. If you got any ideas to improve it, by all means, drop a comment. But I had to show you this because this is a crazy idea I came up with, with the help of doing a little research and a little looking into things myself, and manipulated it and improved it to match my needs. And I'm happy. I'm happy about it. So 5-minute water changes. You can't beat it, baby. Let's go. So we've officially arrived, guys. And by that, we've officially accomplished all testing phases on the tank. Nothing's wrong at this point. All equipment's running, no leaks, and we're ready to finally shut it down and drain the entire system of all this test tap water that's been running for the last week or two. So I'm ready to get going, guys. We're ready to get going with aquascaping, adding the lights on the tank. That's right, I made a decision on the lighting, and it's gonna look awesome once I get these installed. I'm happy to share that with you all in a future video. So if you want to see the exclusive content, once again, slide over to the Instagram, CJ's Aquariums. And if you just want to hang out on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, because you do not want to miss the next stages of this build, I promise you. So, hey, as always, you guys like, comment, subscribe. You guys keep doing what y'all do. Y'all be easy and happy reefing.